of his Quran, right? They were given the guidance, but that guidance is not understood except in the light of him sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Where when Aisha radiallahu anha was asked, what was he like, and what was her response radiallahu anha, she said, "Kana khuluquhu Quran," that his characteristics was the Quran. That this month is a time for us to find a closer connection to the Quran through him sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That if we don't have that were passed down to us from the ulama, from the muhaddithin, from those who passed this tradition down to us, if we don't find ourselves ecstatic when hearing that he sallallahu alaihi wasallam had long beautiful eyelashes, then his son, meaning his children, and when his father, meaning his parents, for him back and told him sallallahu alaihi wasallam that now I love you more than I love my own self. He said, Al-an ya Umar, now ya Umar, now ya Umar, now O Umar, now you have truly believed. It is a byproduct of knowledge, that we love those who are close to us because we know them. We know the beautiful aspects of them. We overlook those things that might not be so beautiful. But him sallallahu alaihi wasallam, everything was beautiful about him. There's nothing that wasn't beautiful about him. And how could that not be the case when he was sent as a rahmah, as a mercy for all realms? If we don't know his life story, we don't know his biography, we don't know what the condition he was brought up in, the difficult conditions that he was brought up in, where he never met his father. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, his father passed before he was born. It's as if Abdullah radiallahu anh, his father, his sole purpose was to conceive him sallallahu alaihi wasallam and then go. And then he went. He never met his father. His mother passed at an early age. Then he was given to his grandfather. His grandfather passed. Then he was under the care of his uncle. His uncle passed at the most difficult time of his life, where his own people turned him away. Right? A person like the Prophet ﷺ, from the most privileged tribes of Arabia, from the most privileged clan, from the most privileged tribes, from the most privileged family, from the most privileged clan, from the most privileged tribe, who was known as a Sadiq al-Amin, the truthful and the trustworthy, and then they turn him away. At that state is when he loses his uncle and his beloved wife, radiallahu anha wa salamun alayha. If you don't know that that's who he was, in that state, when his people had turned him away, and he went to Ta'if to give what he knew to be the truth. He knew it to be the truth, and he wanted it for those who were seeking to harm him. He wanted that good for them, and then they turn away. They throw rocks at him to the point that his feet are bleeding. A person of his stature is turned away from not only his own tribe but the neighboring tribes. If we don't know these things about him sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then we don't know that at that moment when the angel came to him and said, I can take this mountain and that mountain and crush Ta'if in between. And if we don't know his response, that I want their children to be Muslim. If you don't know those qualities about him, how can we have that love for him sallallahu alaihi wasallam if we don't know? And if we don't know what he looked like, what his characteristics were, if we don't know that the love that his Sahaba radiallahu anhum and the love that those who came after had for him, that to the point that they preserved the shape of his foot. Most of us know the shape of our own foot, that there was a slight arch on the bottom of his foot, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and that his foot was so smooth that when you pour water on it, the water would roll off and no wetness would remain. That's how smooth his feet were, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That we don't know the shape, the texture of his hair, that it was wavy in between, straight and curly, completely moderate, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Complete perfection. If we don't know his perfection, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, how can we come to love him? So this is a month in which we seek to know his perfections, and to know that our love for him is a knowledge of his beauty and his perfections. That our mahabba is a byproduct of knowing his kamal, his perfection and his jamal. Because the heart is inclined towards things that have jamal, that have beauty, and inclined towards things that have kamal, that have perfection. And if we don't know that he was akmal al-kummal, that he was the most perfect of those who were perfect, the most beautiful of those who are beautiful. If we don't know that about him, if we don't know that his characteristics were such that when people around him, no matter how seemingly insignificant they are, to them they felt like they were the most important person to him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If we don't know those characteristics about him, it would be difficult for us to find that love for him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And then if we don't have that love for him, it's difficult for us to complete our faith. That faith that we never asked for in the first place, but Allah gave us. That faith that every prayer we ask multiple times, that Allah preserves that faith for us and keep us on that straight path. So may Allah make us a people of love. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين يقول استغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. This deen is a deen of mahabba, of love. And oftentimes we hear this and we think it seems a bit foreign because we don't hear about the deen like this often. You know, sometimes we're not raised that way. But Allah says in the Quran, قُلْ إِن كُنْتُمْ تُحِبُّونَ اللَّهَ فَاتَّبِعُونِي يُحْبِبْكُمُ اللَّهُ وَيَغْفِرْ لَكُمْ ذُنُوبَكُمْ. He says to the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, tell them, if you love Allah, then follow me. And you follow those you love. Then yuhbibkum Allah, then Allah will love you. That this is a month in which that spring of love bursts forth from our hearts for him sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and it inshallah continues after that. It continues after that, and it continues after our passing in the qabr, in the barzakh, and into the akhirah, where we want Jannah because it's what he sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us of, that we want Jannah because it's where we, had we not seen him in this life, then that's where we see him sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That what can be greater than his company sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That Jannah is a rahmah for us, right? It's just a rahmah for those in there, but he sallallahu alaihi wasallam is rahmatan lil alameen, a rahmah for all realms. So may Allah make us a people of rahmah, may Allah make us a people of mahabba, may Allah make us a people of ma'rifah, may Allah make us a people of mercy, may Allah make us a people of love, may Allah make us a people of knowledge of him azza wa jal, and knowledge of his beloved sallallahu alaihi wasallam. May Allah make us a people who have perfect faith. May Allah allow us to complete our faith. May Allah make us a people who will love him sallallahu alaihi wasallam more than we love ourselves, and more than we love our children, and more than we love all of creation. But may Allah make his worth the most grand thing in our eyes. May Allah make us people who sees the worth of him sallallahu alaihi wasallam to be completely unmatched. May Allah make us a people who have love for him sallallahu alaihi wasallam. May Allah make us people who have love for the tradition that he brought us, that came to us from him. May Allah make us a people who have love for those who brought the tradition to us, our teachers. So we ask Allah for the mercy for our teachers, particularly our first teachers, our parents. We say, رَبِّ ارْحَمْهُمَا كَمَا رَبَّيَانِي صَغِيرًا 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 رَبِّ ارْحَمْهُمَا كَمَا رَبَّيَانِي صَغِيرًا. Ya Allah, we ask you that you have mercy on them as they had mercy on us when we were young. رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً وَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ رَبَّنَا هَبْ لَنَا مِنْ أَزْوَاجِنَا وَذُرِّيَّاتِنَا قُرَّةَ أَعْيُنٍ وَاجْعَلْنَا لِلْمُتَّقِينَ إِمَامًا. We ask Allah that we recognize that Allah and his angels send their benedictions and salutations on him sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and that we're asked to do the same. Inna Allah wa malaikatahu yusalluna ala an-nabi ya ayyuhalladhina amanu sallu alayhi wa sallimu taslima. Allahumma salli ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali sayyidina Muhammad wa ala azwaji sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ashabi sayyidina Muhammad wa ala atba'i sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ahbabi sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ummati sayyidina Muhammad wa barik wa sallim wa salli alayhi. إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون اذكروا الله يذكركم. Remember Allah and he'll remember you. وادعوه يستجب لكم. Call upon him, he'll answer you. ولذكر الله أكبر. The remembrance of Allah is greater. والله يعلم ما تصنعون. وأنت يا أخي أقم الصلاة.
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله. It's not too